my collar is sagging. Oh, hello, collarbones. I'm sorry, everyone, I don't need to see these collarbones. Kids outside are noisy. I hate kids. Hi, my name is Trish, and in this video I will be sharing a recent book haul. These are books that I bought and accumulated over the months of March and April, and I didn't have the motivation to make a video about it until now. So here is a recent fully booked book haul. I call it a fully booked book haul because all of the books in this haul are books I bought from Fully Booked, whether online or through Shopee or the physical store in Cebu Business Park, which, by the way, for anyone from Cebu who's watching this video, can any of you tell me if there's something going on with the Fully Booked branch in Ayala? Because I've noticed that the second floor has been cleared of all the YA books, and the YA books have been transferred to the first floor, and the second floor is basically a space for all the sale items and the art stuff and coffee table books, and I'm just worried about all the vacant space in the shop now. Like, is something bad going on with the branch there? I would like to know because I am anxious. But anyway, on to the haul. So the first book in this haul is Dumb Witness by Agatha Christie. For those of you who do not know, I have this personal project. I thoroughly enjoy Agatha Christie's mysteries and I want to collect all of her published works. So Dumb Witness is an addition to my collection. I think I have around 17 or 18 of her books now, and that leaves me with, I think, 60 plus-ish more books left to buy. So Dumb Witness is a Hercule Poirot mystery. So in this book, Emily Arundel dies, and everyone thinks it's an accident after she stepped on her dog's rubber ball and fell down the stairs. But before she died, Emily has shown concern about one of her relatives wanting to kill her. And so she writes Hercule Poirot a letter around April, and mysteriously enough, the letter doesn't arrive to Hercule until June, which by then Emily has already died. And so Hercule has to step in and investigate whether this death really was an accident or was it not an accident. I haven't read the book yet, but I'm pretty sure it's not an accident. But if I'm wrong, feel free to make fun of me, or not, because I am very sensitive. The next book in this list is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is the second book in the Broken Earth series. Oh my god. These kids are fucking noisy. Anyway, The Obelisk Gate, I cannot concentrate anymore. If it's not the dogs or my neighbor singing karaoke, it's these kids. Anyway, The Obelisk Gate is the second book to the Broken Earth trilogy. I haven't read the second book yet, and I don't want to read its synopsis because I'm not sure if some things in the synopsis of the second book will spoil some things about the first book. So I'm just going to talk about the synopsis of the first book instead. So in the 5th season, we follow this character named Esun, who goes home to find that her husband has murdered their son and kidnapped their daughter. At the same time, this great and innovative empire falls after all of its citizens are murdered. And also at the same time, this mysterious red rift thing appears out of nowhere, and it's spewing toxic, deadly ash everywhere, and it's basically the end of the world, and countries and empires are fighting each other, not for power, but for basic needs like food and water. And while all of this is happening, Esun has to find her daughter. So there are a number of people that I trust when it comes to fantasy recommendations, and of these group of people, those that have read this trilogy have had nothing but high praises for it, so I am very excited to start with this series, hopefully sooner, because I've been saying that I've been wanting to start the series for months now. Also, I already have the second book without even having read the first book yet, and I'm pretty sure that if I see the third book, I will be buying it. You know, you'd think I would have learned my lesson about purchasing a complete series without having read the first book yet, after my unfortunate experience of buying the complete series of Stalking Jack the Ripper, A Darker Shade of Magic, and A Shadow and Bone, and liking none of those series. But every book haul for me is emotionally driven, not brain cell driven. So that speaks for itself. Also, if I start shimmering, that's not glitter. It's summer here in the Philippines. I could turn my AC on, but that would mean that there's this buzzing background noise while I'm talking. And I post content rarely enough. I might as well make it quality content for all of you. This is me sweating for all of you. That was gross. Anyway, the next book in this haul is The Acoustic Falcon by K.S. Villoso. This is the second book, The Chronicles of the Bitch Queen, and I've actually already read this book. I've also recently finished the third book, and I just want to say that I strongly, highly, verily recommend this trilogy to everyone out there. It is absolutely brilliant. The first book was amazing. This book was even more amazing. And the third book, the conclusion was just divine. But anyway, going to this book, like I said, this is the second book in the series. In this book, we follow Talyan, who has finally found her way back to Junsayang, but upon arriving there, she finds out that there's really not a lot that she knows about her own country, and so she's caught in this web of deceit and secrets and conspiracy and betrayal and monsters and dragons and men. There is quite possibly the best love square in literary history in this book. I don't want to say any more about this book or the series because I do not want to spoil it for anyone, but I will say that be very guarded when it comes to Ariel. The next book in this list is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I read Grady Hendrix's other book, My Best Friend's Exorcism, and oh my god. There are fruit flies in my room. Maybe it's because I'm so foodie. I'm sorry. Anyway, I read Grady Hendrix's other book, My Best Friend's Exorcism, and I absolutely loved it. So going to this book, I knew that I would enjoy it, and I started this last night, and I am absolutely eating this book up. I am thoroughly enjoying it. So in this book, we follow Patricia Campbell, who is your typical suburban housewife who is just trying to get her shit together. In order to de-stress herself, she joins this book club where she and 4 other women read true crime books every month. Everything is going fine until this handsome stranger suddenly appears in their suburban neighborhood, and Patricia finds herself enthralled and mesmerized by this handsome stranger. That is until children from the other side of town suddenly go missing, and she suspects that this stranger might be involved with their deaths. It's set in the 80s, and it has a very atmospheric 80s vibe to it. Like, Grady Hendrix really is a very transportive writer. As of now, all I can say is that I'm really enjoying it. The next book in this haul is A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I bought this book at the recommendation of Kat and Gerald. They both love Jason Reynolds, and they both love this book, and I didn't want to be left out. But just reading the synopsis of this book really made me interested. I think it's very ingenious. So this book is told in verse, and this whole book actually happens in the span of 60 minutes. So we follow Will, who is out to murder the person who killed his brother. And so we follow him through these 60 seconds as he rides an elevator down. And for each floor that he passes, the elevator stops, opens, and someone involved in his and his brother's life comes in and tells him more about the story involving his brother. I have not read any of Jason Reynolds' works yet, and it's time that I correct that. It's high time that I read one of his works. And based off Gerald and Kat's reviews, I think this would be a great book to start. It is so hot in here. I'm kidding, I might be rated R, but I'm not rated X. The next book in this haul is The Cost of Knowing by Brittany Morris. So the main character, Alex, has this ability to see visions of the future when he touches things or a person. Like when he touches his car, he sees a vision of it wrecked underwater. When he touches his girlfriend, he sees a vision of them breaking up. But then he touches a photograph and he sees a vision of his brother dying. And so now Alex is in a race against time and death and circumstance in order to save his brother. The next book in this haul is A Fall Love Story by Loan Le. So in this book, the main characters Bao Nguyen and Lin Mai are sort of attracted to each other, but the bad news is their families are rivals. Each family runs their own pho restaurant and they're in this very bitter competition, which leads our two main characters to question whether it's possible for them to have a connection in the midst of this rivalry that may run deeper than it seems. I am absolutely a sucker for rivals or enemies to friends or lovers stories. That is my jam. I eat that shit up. And the thing about characters being enemies or rivals, not because they really hate each other, but because, their families or the group that they belong to are sort of enemies towards each other, just brings a bit more thrill for me, because it's like we love each other but we can't be together because our family just cannot. Like, I'm blushing, I'm sweating, and I'm blushing. The next book in this haul is The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page. I couldn't read for a moment. I bought this because Olivia of Olivia Reads a Latte absolutely adores this book. And when it comes to thrillers and horror books, our tastes usually match. I was about to say meet, but I don't know if that makes sense. So she basically said that this was Scream Queens meets American Horror Story Coven. So this follows a sorority that is actually a coven of witches. We follow two main characters. One is Scarlett, who is like this legacy sorority member. And so she's pressured to live up to her sister and her mother's legacy. But she's also keeping this deep, dark secret that, if exposed, will ruin everything for her. The second character is Vivi Devereaux, and she is so hungry for acceptance and is so excited to be part of this sorority, but Scarlett seems to be antagonistic towards her because Scarlett doesn't think that she's sorority Ravens material. But then something happens in their campus that forces these two girls to work together in order to save their fellow sisters. I'm sweating so much, I hope my armpits are sweaty. And if they are, please be kind and do not mind them. The next book in this haul is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. So in this book, I think they're called the Omehi. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. But the Omehi people have been at war for 200 years now. And in this society, there are people who are gifted and people who are not. For the gifted people, 1 out of, I think, 2,000 women can have the ability to call dragons, and then 1 of 100 men can have the ability to make themselves stronger. And our main character, Tao, is not one of those gifted people. He is just an ordinary person, and so he has to go to war, but he has a game plan. He plans to injure himself, get out of war early, and retire with his family and his children and live the rest of his life in peace. Unfortunately, shit happens, and his loved ones are killed before he can do anything. And so this sets Tao in a path of anger and revenge against the 3 people that betrayed him. Who are these 3 people? I do not know, but I am excited to find out. So this book is pitched as a Game of Thrones meets Gladiator. I have read and watched Game of Thrones, have not watched The Gladiator, but I've heard that people were very entertained. Are you not entertained? Also, this is the 3rd book that is part of a high fantasy series that has dragon in the title, and I love everything that has to do with dragons. It's just that I only have 1 brain cell and it cannot keep up with all the titles. I said the Dragon Republic in a live show about the Dragon of Jinxiang. I cannot keep track of anything anymore. I am just stupid. The next book in this haul is The Forest of Stolen Girls by Jane Her. And let's just, can we just pause to look at this cover and appreciate how beautiful it is? It is absolutely stunning, and the more that I look at it, the more that it becomes more beautiful, and I am very overwhelmed. So the Force of Stolen Girls takes place in 1426. Two sisters go missing and are found in this forest in the middle of a gruesome crime scene. What that crime scene is, I do not know. And I am both scared and excited to find out. Years later, the girl's father, who is a detective, finds out that 13 other girls have gone missing under the same circumstances, and so he goes back to their hometown to investigate the forest and goes missing himself. So Juani, one of the sisters, also returns to their hometown and is reunited with her estranged sister. And as she's investigating the forest and the village near the forest, she starts to slowly realize that the answers to her questions might lie in the buried, repressed memories of what happened to her and her sister years before. I have Jane Eyre's other book, The Silence of Bones, on my Kindle, and I have not read either of her books yet. But reading the synopsis of her books, I am very intrigued, and I am very excited to start them. Sooner, hopefully later. The next book in this haul is The Infinity Quartz by Akemi Dawn Bowman. So we follow our main character, Nami. She has a great family. She's just graduated from high school, and she is on her way to this party when, unfortunately, she is murdered before she arrives at the party. And she wakes up to find herself in the Infinity, which is this purgatory-esque place where human consciousness goes when their physical bodies die. And she finds out that Ophelia, who is basically like Siri or Alexa, is the queen of the Infinity, and she's forcing humans into servitude the same way that humans use her as a virtual assistant back on Earth. And so Nami joins a group of rebels to take Ophelia down. I am not a big sci-fi fan, but there was no way for me to read this synopsis and not be intrigued. I am curious, I am intrigued, my interest is piqued. But to be honest, this book would not have entered my radar if it weren't for Kate. I saw this in one of her blog posts about her most anticipated 2021 releases. I've said this before and I'll say it again. 90% of the fantasy and sci-fi books in my TBR is there because of Kate. So thank you, Kate. I love you, but my wallet absolutely hates you. The next book in this haul is House of I was about to say House of Holland. Tom Holland, where are you? So this is a dark, modern, fairy tale-esque story about three sisters who have gone missing, only to return a month later without any memories of what happened to them. And even more stranger is that their appearance have started to change, like their hair color and their eyes. Years later, one of the sisters disappears again, and it's up to the two remaining sisters to find out what happened to her. And while they're trying to find out what happened to her, the story about what really happened to them years before starts to unravel, and some dark secrets come out. I've read Crystal Sutherland's other book, A Semi-Definitive List of Worst Nightmares. It's a long title, so forgive me if I got it wrong. And I remember not having really strong feelings about that book. I liked it, but not that much that it will be memorable to me. But I'm really hoping that I have a better reading experience with this book. I watched Kayla's book blog about her reading this, and from what she said, I can sort of gauge what I'm getting myself into, so I'm ready. I am ready. Also, another book with another gorgeous cover. My favorite part of the dust jacket, though, is this small little ant in the flap. So cute. The next book in this haul is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Azevedo. This is a contemporary told in verse about two characters, Camino and Yahaira. Camino lives in the Dominican Republic and Yahaira is in New York. And one day their father dies in, I think it's a plane crash. And they discover each other's existence through this tragedy, and so they have to cope with learning about their father's secrets while also coming to terms with suddenly having a sister, which they didn't know existed before. I absolutely love the Poet X, and so I'm very confident that I will love Clap When You Land as well. Also, if you think this cover is beautiful, wait till you see what's beneath it. Like, oh, damn, that's beautiful. Let me just get sidetracked for a bit because I am so excited and happy to see, especially recently, that the cover game in publishing has become so good. Like, we all know the age-old adage of not judging a book by its cover, and yeah, I guess that still applies. But nowadays, for me at least, there's no excuse for a book to have an ugly cover anymore. Like, there are countless of artists and designers out there who can give each book a badass cover. Like, no one should miss out on a good book because it has an ugly ass cover anymore. The next book in this haul is What Big Teeth by Rose Zabo. So our main character, Eleanor, is part of this wild, bloodthirsty family. Why they are bloodthirsty, I'm not really sure. And something happens to her that forces her to flee boarding school and go back to her home, to her family. And while she's trying to keep her family together, some dark forces arrive that may be linked to what happened to her that has forced her to flee boarding school in the first place. I hope I don't sound convoluted, but that's the best that I can sum up this synopsis because, to be honest, I'm not really even sure what this is about. But seriously, the synopsis of this book does promise a mysterious, thrilling story. I just don't know how to explain it. I do not have the brain cells for it. And the last book in this haul is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This is an urban fantasy set in New York City that follows 5 characters, which are the protectors of New York City. So in this book, each city has a soul, but also each city has its own darkness, and it's up to their protectors to, protect the city, of course. I've heard really great and exciting things about this book, and I think I will be starting this before I start the Broken Earth trilogy, just so I could, exercise my brain muscles. The brain is already a muscle, so why did I need to say muscles? I swear. So that is it for this book haul. I hope you enjoyed and at least understood what I said. See you in the next video.